telephone system presents Telephone Time.
Telephone Time with the stories of John Nesbitt.
How do you do, everyone? This is to be one of the great stories of time, in which hope and the beautiful are balanced with despair and the terrible. We will have to travel through much darkness together, but when we arrive, I believe we will like what we will see. The place was France. The time, the year 1792. In the early spring of that year, I believe. But the place might have been anywhere, and the time might have been any year for the past 25 centuries. And the people involved might have been ourselves, with one exception. Philippe Pinel, I believe, is an exception among men. He was kind and gentle, but he was stubborn as a mule. He was a very fine scientist, and yet he always put medicine behind the impulses of his heart. And we have decided to call his story by the words of a man who once wrote, "I had to travel through hell before I could see again the stars."
Pinel! Philippe Pinel! Am I to keep the entire French Revolution waiting for every greedy job seeker who wants to grab an appointment? And for a man who has waited 6 weeks out there for a job, do you consider me unreasonable to request a prompt appearance? You have been told there is nothing for you, Dr. Pinel.
But Citizen Couton...
All the hospital appointments have been filled. You are wasting the people's time.
But surely, Citizen Couton, there must be some post where I could serve the Republic.
I see, Doctor. And in that case, perhaps it's just possible there may be something for a man of your spirit.
Thank you.
In fact, Dr. Pinel, I have a position here as director, chief of staff, in charge of La Bicette.
La Bicette? But, Citizen Couton, that is the lunatic asylum.
It's called a hospital here. Actually, the head keeper should receive the appointment. But since your letters are all so impressive... Well, yes or no?
I had expected something...
Your answer, Doctor.
I would like to inspect La Bicette before I give my answer.
Doctor, I will not engage in an afternoon's discussion with you. Now, do you want the appointment or not?
I will have a look first.
Hey, make him out a paper, letting him inspect La Bicette for 2 hours. You will give me your absolutely binding yes or no by tonight. That is all, Doctor.
I appreciate the tour of your grounds, Citizen Boudet. I understand why you complain of being undermanned.
Yes, Doctor, and underpaid.
I know. I have some experience with hospitals. And now I should like to see the patients.
Doctor, no visitor ever goes below. Not even the former director went below.
I would like to see the inmates in their quarters, Citizen Boudet.
Yes, Doctor.
Thank you.
3 more wards below, Doctor. Full, just like this one. Straight ahead, Doctor. And mind you, don't get too close to them.
I've told you, and I've told you. I can't remember. I can't remember. I've told you. I've told you I can't remember. I can't remember. I've told you. I can't remember. I can't remember. I've told you. I can't remember.
Proceed to the other wards, Doctor?
So you had the daylight scared out of you, eh, Doctor? Well, I told you I had nothing else. How did you like it, eh?
Citizen Couton, you will please draft my commission for La Bicêtre immediately.
You accept it, then?
Yes.
Pinel! Pinel, why the devil do you take the job?
I am obliged to.
For 3 days and nights, almost without rest, Pinel plunged into the records, like a detective searching for some fact in the past lives of the chained beings that could help him to understand what he was to do. And then, at once, he came to his incredible decision.
Citizen, I am keeper here. I will not allow it.
Must I remind you that I am in charge here now?
I say no. Chivigny. Why Chivigny? We are not weak men, but 3 of us can scarcely hold him.
3 of us? He's the most dangerous. We are going to release these people from their chains. And I wish to begin this morning with Lieutenant Chivigny.
My father was keeper here. I was born here. I know lunatics.
You will cut Chivigny away from that wall. You will bring him up to that corridor. You will cut off every last manacle, and you will turn him loose at the door. Hurry up. Do you think it is easy for me to wait here for him? Lieutenant Chivigny, you are free. Come in. You no longer have your chains, Lieutenant Chivigny. You may drop your arms. Your manacles are gone. Free him.
I warn you, Doctor.
I said let him go. Now, leave us.
It's on your own head, Doctor.
Chivigny, you need no longer be afraid. You are free. Chivigny, listen to me. I am a doctor. I am your friend. You are free. Yes, Chivigny. It is the sky. Sky. You must come back tonight and see it when it's filled with stars.
Once upon a time, there was a family named Jones. There was Mr. Jones, Mrs. Jones, and all the little Joneses. They lived in one house with one car, one refrigerator, and one telephone. Well, one house was big enough, and one car had seats enough, and one refrigerator telephone was just not enough for all the Joneses. So one day, Mrs. Jones called her Bell Telephone Company business office. A few days later, she had a surprise for the family. There was a new blue telephone in the bedroom. So Mr. Jones, just by reaching out his arm, could make early calls, late calls, emergency calls, and business calls. There was a new wall telephone in the kitchen. So Mrs. Jones, just by reaching out her arm, could call for groceries, appointments, repairs, or deliveries. And there was a new red telephone in the playroom. So all the little Joneses could call up boyfriends and girlfriends and school friends and best friends just by reaching out their arms. And with a spring cord, my, such convenience. So now, the family named Jones, with one house that's big enough, one car with seats enough, one refrigerator that holds enough, have several color telephones that are handy enough and bright enough and modern enough and quite enough. No? Well, enough for the moment anyway, so they can phone happily ever after.
And so the chains were taken off. And in the year of 1793, while Paris fell into anarchy and shouting mobs ran wild through the streets, the transformation of a prison asylum began.
Doctor, my name is Latour, William Latour.
Yes. You remember now, huh?
But the other things, when will I remember them? Why don't I remember them?
They will come. Give them time, Monsieur Latour. Give them time.
Doctor, she has a request to make, but she is afraid, so I brought her.
You might be afraid of Chivigny, Marie, but you're not afraid of me, are you? What do you want? Yes? Tell me, please.
I want to go home. It's been so long.
I know.
It's been 13 years, Doctor. 13 years since I have seen my children. I want to go home.
Of course. Of course you would want to go home.
Are you sure they're coming? It's your grandmother, darling.
And so the release of the patients began, the incurables being released from their chains. And by one of the astounding facts in medical history, more than 60 declared cured and sent back from the pits and cages of La Bicêtre into humanity and into the world. It was Pinel's wish and determination that they should go if they were ready, even the good Chivigny.
This lunacy of yours in all the newspapers. these lunatics out into the streets of Paris.
Citizen Couton, I beg you, not here in my office, not in front of my patients.
I'll come where and when I please. I'll come where.
You will take Chairman Couton to my office, or I will have my guards do it. I will not have my patients upset. Raise this litter! This is the best operated, the best hope for the mentally sick in Europe.
It's a clubhouse for madmen.
I have compiled 63 case histories, indisputable proof that with proper care and understanding, the mentally ill can be cured. Here, read them.
I am not interested. All I know is that Paris is under the rule of the mob, and I am their instrument.
Well, what has that got to do with it?
Look, Doctor, the pamphleteers are already screaming. Liberty, fraternity, equality. Also proclaimed in madhouse. Lunatics released into the Paris streets.
Oh.
Pinel, do you realize the monstrous thing you have done? You have excited the minds of the mob with your lunatics.
How do we know they're lunatics, huh? Even if you put dogs in chains, they become violent. If I were to put you in chains, Citizen Couton, not for 10 years like the patients here, but for 10 minutes, I hate to think of the violence.
They are demanding a full investigation of my administration because of you, Dr. Pinel. You, a civil servant, you are guilty of treason.
I have only done what I believe to be right.
Today, my friend, even a rumor of treason is enough to send a man to the guillotine.
I only know that I am right.
I don't quite know what to make of you, Pinel. Either you are a genius or an imbecile. But I warn you, unless you stop releasing your lunatics from La Bicêtre, I shall be forced to arrest you for treason. You understand my position?
Perfectly.
But violence has its own way of leaping to a decision. And 2 nights later, as Pinel was returning home from a meeting, figures were waiting. The mob, ready to cast its violence on a man who had dared to say that the insane were only sick, human beings like the rest of us.
A necklace for you, Doctor.
Madman! Lunatic friend! Madman! Stop it, Phil! Stop! Don't fuss up. I'm all right. The man, the one who saved me, where is he? Lie back, Doctor. Chivigny. It was you.
Be quiet, Dr. Philip. Please. You told me never to get angry, but I must pass here on my way home every night, and when I saw them...
It was really you. How can I ever repay you?
You don't have to. I'm coming back to work for you.
Back to La Bicêtre?
Why not? While you are looking after everybody else, I am going to look after you.
Chivigny. my friends. My dear lunatics.
That fabulous coincidence whereby Dr. Pinnell's life was saved by a man who had formerly been a lunatic is, I believe, the greatest coincidence of its kind recorded in all history. Now we're going to have the announcement here, and after that I would like to return with one or two footnotes to bring the story of Dr. Pinnell up to modern times.
Okay. I'll see you Thursday then. Bye now.
Well, that's settled. Jimmy's out of town, but he just phoned to say he'd be back in time to drive Betty down to her aunt's place at the lake. And now's a good time to call her aunt and tell her when she's arriving. Betty has her phone number handy, too. Make your plans by phone. Long-distance rates are lower weekdays after 6 and all-day Sundays. Call now.
One of the surprises which I ran into in researching the story of Philippe Pinnell is that so many of his ideas and methods are considered the best modern therapy today. For example, his belief that the doctor should give love to his mentally ill patient in order to receive it from the patient is now universally recognized. And also his very bold experiment in sending patients home to their families at quite an early date now also receives tremendous support everywhere. But rather pleasing is that in institutions all over the world, little gardens are frequently to be found and courtyards where the sick people gather to struggle for recovery. And in the memory of a merciful man, they're almost invariably called Pinnell Pavilions. And now we're going to see the clues for the story to come. In one of the most terrifying moments of life for tens of thousands of young American soldiers, they gripped these bright children's rubber balls in their hands and leapt from the warplanes into space. The paratroopers, and among these one unusual man who gave us our title, the Jumping Parson. So until next week, when it's time for another story, this is John Nesbitt wishing a goodbye to you all.
Join us at telephone time next week. Until then, we remain sincerely yours, the Bell Telephone System.